In today's competitive global market, one needs to have comprehensive real-life entrepreneurial knowledge, skills to increase clientele base, exposure to online business activities, and ability to plan and write workable business plans. Grow your business to unprecedented heights. For these and other interesting growth management related solutions, watch Small to Large Enterprise TV right here on this channel.
Today's discussion is going to be on successful managerial roles, a must-have. This is a relatively old presentation, but it still makes meaning till date. Much as management is experiencing increasing demand from their shareholders or the owners of the organization, and at the same time, demands from customers, managers have to rethink in the millennial era what exactly is expected of them. Hitherto, it was said that not everyone can be a manager. But in the millennial era, we think that scientific management can be done by everybody, provided one knows what he or she is about. One must be interested to learn and not just a manager out of hunches. This title of the presentation, Today's Management Functions and Roles, is a guide as to what are some of the attitudes or characteristics that managers must have for success in millennial. Mintzberg did a good foundational work by looking at the skills needed by a manager. He did group them into three parts. Technical being the first one. Technical, what he meant was that good subject knowledge is required. And if good subject knowledge is required, maybe for engineering, you cannot do hunches. If good subject knowledge is needed for legal, you still need to go to the law school. If good subject knowledge is needed for marketing, you still need to go to the marketing school. Definitely, you need good subject knowledge. So formal training is equally as important as on-the-job training. Secondly, he talked about human. Since managers interact with colleagues and, of course, sometimes with customers, it is imperative that they come up with good interpersonal skills. Thirdly, Mintzberg did look at conceptualization. He emphasized that managers must think analytically, be able to draw inferences out of events, trends in making decisions, and no hunches. These three are Mintzberg's thoughts about management and must have. However, there are more other roles that we need to take note of. One, or other roles, including the three, is strategic planning. A manager has to build a team that will think into the future, 3 to 5 years ahead. Without that, one is likely to lose his or her job. Because of competition and changing environments, globalization, the competition is etching up a lot of organizations. Globalization is making prices of items come down. Innovation is giving consumers the choice. And so strategic planning has become a must for every manager. Thinking into the future. Another role that a manager must have is scenario thinking. Simply put, what if? Every manager must have on his or her desktop, what if an event happened? What will be the reaction? Simply, we almost always, all organizations are to have fire extinguishers, fire detectors, smoke detectors in the workplace. That is, for as long as it triggers, a fire alarm triggers, then you have a fire extinguisher to quench it, or you call the fire team. Same way in other managerial practices, managers must have this scenario thinking. A bank manager who doesn't have options a list of products on his or her desk. In recession time, example where they are withdrawing a lot of cash out of the bank and doesn't have any solution immediately, and always waiting for head office or headquarters to give direction as to the rate of withdrawals as compared to the higher rate of withdrawal as compared to the lower rate of savings, then of course that manager is likely to see the sack in no time. Without remedial actions that are plans that are put in place, that are contingencies, granted it happens. If it doesn't happen, it's always on paper. That scenario is equally important in discussing. Another role is target achievement. In the face of competition, managers are target-driven. Shareholders want an increase in their dividends. Consumers want lower pricing and want to gain maximum benefit out of their purchase. And so one has to set targets. It's the target that for-profit organizations can use as a determinant, one of the determinants of their achievements. For not-for-profit organizations, they still need to set targets. Either than that, they will be operating below break-even points. That apparently means that donors will always have to be funding them. However, if donor funding reduces or ceases, what will they do? Day-to-day checks on event is equally important. A manager must be insightful. He or she must be in the position to identify suitable resources, both human and material, that can be combined at the least cost to derive maximum returns. It's important for a manager. One such manager is Arsene Wenger of Arsenal. He's able to spot talents, raw talents in youthful days, pick them up, buy them at low cost, polishes them, trains them, polishes them, gets them to the best of their performance. And then when they are at the peak of their performance, then offloads them onto the market. That way, at a higher price. So the returns are high for the club. Those are the kind of managers that recession time requires. Not necessarily he as a person, but the concept is this simple. If your income or your returns are higher than your cost, then you are in business. At the same time, you have to be competitive. That is the focus. In fact, insightful managers must always attain that concept, that is break-even and profit or surplus. Insightful managers must undergo training themselves and give on-the-job training for all staff at all levels, periodically, not necessarily 5 years thereafter, but every year, every staff must be put on training. That way, we are able to work within the competitive environment with the intention of success. The concept is quite very simple. Be it profit or not-for-profit organizations, returns is equal to revenue generated minus the cost. That is very simple. Most organizations have that in mind, and so they operate. Because most organizations have realized that we are in a global marketplace, they are using one vehicle, the internet, to outsource their raw materials, looking at the factors of production. If it's land and it's cheaper in territory A, they rather put an organization there. If energy becomes or is cheaper in territory B, they put the processing plant in territory B. That way, they are going to gain higher markup. They operate at least cost and get higher returns. And that is what the focus is. So outsourcing has become very important. Outsourcing in accounting, health, goods and services, provisions, and many more cannot be ruled out in our recent times. The philosophy of an entrepreneur or a manager must be a strong mental makeup that will have the ability to operate globally. Another must-have is motivation. A leader or a manager who does not motivate his or her colleagues is shooting him or herself in the foot. Staff are men and women who need to work for the manager. And so they need to be motivated enough and not beat down, talk down. Motivation is not only monetary returns, but encouragement. Using the word brilliant, good, is one important aspect. Look at your workplaces, the kind of managers you have. Are they dictatorial, where they prefer punishment and never say thank you when a good job is done? If they are, identify them. They need to reform themselves. They need to catch up with the must-haves of recession time management. Communication. Communication is another must-have. It's a two-way effect. Two-way cyclical flow. Information that goes from the manager must come with feedback to the manager. Information from employee that goes to the employer must come with feedback to the employee. Customers who buy products must be given the opportunity to evaluate the organization of the product, and that feedback must be worked into the organizational scheme of operation just to maximize production. Communication, more often than not, we think it's just about reading and writing, or talking and writing at workplaces. All right, talking is good. Writing is good. What about listening? A good listener is equally important. A manager must be a good listener. Listening will tell from the body language of your employee. The words may come in one direction, but the body language will explain exactly what he or she wants. And that is the goal of listening. And that is what managers must do. They must not out-talk everybody. Out-talking everybody does not necessarily mean that one is making sense. But listening is a virtue. All right. For academics, because we like writing, at workplaces, long essays are not what is expected, but short, succinct language is what is expected. Sweet, short, and simple, straight to the point, precision is what is expected at workplace. Workplaces don't encourage long essays or theses. Please, academics. So at workplaces, as a manager, take note. When it is written language, written communication, it must be succinct. All right. Another role is value. You cannot drive your organization anyhow. You must have a value system to operate with. Is it honesty? Is it joy at work? Is it the anger that you put in people? No. The more you annoy your employees, the less likelihood they are to be committed to you. And so the less likelihood that your productivity will go high. Then, of course, you need to write your values carefully and paste them for everyone to know. During job training, they must associate themselves with their values, and the manager must be seen to be acting in that line. Not head alone, but be seen to explicitly exhibit that value. Be it friendly environment. Most people like to work in friendly environments. Most people would want to work in an environment that is welcoming, that is non-discriminatory. You need to establish what your values are. Humorous environments are another place that most people like to work in. And so very serious-minded people, even in the face of humor, perform a little better than just being serious all throughout. Sometimes you find me, or most of the time you find me being serious. However, I have the humorous end. But because of time, I cannot exhibit it here. Preferably, workplaces must have game rooms, such that when colleagues work and they are tired, they can go to the games room and play some games as refreshment, have washrooms that they can wash down and get back to work. That way, most people are likely to even work more than 8 hours. But where they don't have washrooms, they don't have game rooms, the moment they work 6 hours and they are tired, they take an hour break, making the 7th hour, then lazy around the 8th hour, and off they are gone. So values must be well established. Spatial arrangements. Office arrangement is another that one has to look at in terms of the value. Overcrowded offices or overcrowded workplaces creates a lot of energy conflict. And so employees become tired earlier than they expected to be tired. And so it affects productivity. These are issues that one has to know. A couple of employees are working 8 hours. They are paid 8 hours. They go to work 9 and close at 5. Are they paid for the 1 hour break? Or they are forced to work for the 1 hour break, maybe 30 minutes into the 1 hour break, yet not paid at all. There are issues that one has to look at. All work and no play, we say, makes Jack a dull boy. So one has to take note of that. Managers must take note of that. Team playing. No one manager knows it all or is better than the whole. So every manager must form a team, not based on nepotism, but based on ability, skill, competence, knowledge, important. Not based on old schoolism, old boyism, from my ethnic background. No. What is the ability? If the person can produce and has shown that competence or has the ability, the skill, the knowledge, that competence, you need to harness it for organizational success. So managers must think through most of these concepts. Where managers also have mavericks, they need to accept mavericks. Working with mavericks is difficult, but in critical times, you need them for that success. So they need to take note of that. Mavericks are one individual, or they are individuals who pull up a lot of their performance when there's crisis. So managers must do well to welcome mavericks as much as possible for enhanced performance and meeting organizational goal. Thank you.
In today's competitive global market, one needs to have comprehensive real-life entrepreneurial knowledge, skills to increase clientele base, exposure to online business activities, and ability to plan and write workable business plans. Grow your business to unprecedented heights. For these and other interesting growth management related solutions, watch Small to Large Enterprise TV right here on this channel.